Hi folks, just want to talk to you a bit about assessment item 1, not so much the mechanics of it, but what it was really about and what I hope you've gained from it. And certainly this might be a timely thing to listen to as you prepare to make the submission. When thinking about assignment 1, I'd like to refer to an ancient Chinese proverb. A lot of wisdom can be gained from some of these old proverbs. And this one says, "It's better to light one candle than to curse the darkness." Better to light one candle than to curse the darkness. And if we use this proverb and develop a bit of a metaphor for it, certainly the darkness is ignorance and lack of understanding and holding misconceptions. Then the candle can be logical thinking, the application of scientific processes, the development of scientific and acceptable ideas, the ability to interpret some data and make sense of it. So metaphorically speaking, this assignment is about you lighting a candle, or 3 candles in fact, and the candles, metaphorically, is your ability to apply some logical thinking to some common misconceptions. And there's been some fascinating things discussed and explored over the process with the students I've talked to and the talks I've had with other lecturers on other campuses. Here's an example of that, shining that light and developing some logical thought. I want to talk to you about a study that was done in 1992 in America, in Las Vegas. It was done by a company called the Roper Company, and it was commissioned by a real estate agency of all people. In this study, they interviewed 6,000 people, 6,000 random people in Las Vegas. So you can imagine a team of researchers hitting the streets, fronting up to people and asking them a series of questions. And the questions had to do about alien life forms, interactions with aliens, beliefs about aliens, and abductions. Interestingly, most people from that survey group believed aliens were common interactors with Earth. There were often regular interactions between aliens and Earth. We are not alone, was the primary message from that sample group, which is very interesting. Further breakdown of that sample showed that 18% reported sometimes awakening and being paralysed with strange beings in the room. Sounds pretty sinister. But if you think about it, apart from the strange beings in the room, who has awoken or felt that paralysed feeling when you're waking or during a deep sleep? It's not an uncommon thing. It's a perfectly normal psychological phenomenon. But anyway, 18% reported awakening or being paralysed with strange beings in the room. 13% of that sample group reported odd periods of missing time. There were periods of time they just couldn't explain what had happened, where they'd been. Sitting in the lounge room, driving the car, walking home, and there's just periods of time when they just can't explain. And again, sounds sinister, but is it really that uncommon for us to be a bit absent-minded about time? Certainly if you've been in my lectures, you might have experienced it. Anywho, 10% of that group, that's 600 people, claim that they've flown without mechanical assistance as well. So what is going on? And if we extrapolate the percentages out to the American population, which as I said is, 250 million or something, and we apply those percentages, this means we've got 3.7 million incidences of alien abductions. Most people who get abducted, and there's quite a few, claim it's multiple, and let's average it off to 5 times. So we're talking about 18.5 million abductions. So let's just look at that over my lifetime for a say, which is a little bit over 45 years. Who's counting? So that would mean that there's been 411,111 abductions a year over the last 45 years, according to those statistics as extrapolated out with the American population. So that would mean over a week, 7,960 abductions. Goodness, that's a lot. 7,960. Just a tad under 8,000 people in the United States abducted every week over the last 40 years. It's 1,129 abductions a day. Goodness me, this is sounding pretty sinister. We can break that down further to 47 abductions every 1 hour over the last 45 years. So, when we look at that like that, we can surely, better to light the one candle. So what's our logical thinking tell us? We've got to ask some questions about that sample, how it was put together, what were the questions asked, and some of the things they reported. They're quite explainable in pretty ordinary ways, really. So it's interesting how we think and what we believe. And when we exaggerate things out or extrapolate things out like that, we see the ridiculous nature of the claims. So you can see all these little candles being lit now. And I hope you've really got something out of this first assignment in regard to your ability to think logically, apply scientific principles, and come up with scientifically accepted principles. I'm looking forward to reading all the assignments, and thanks very much.